Hi, I'm Marco Rubio, and I want to thank you once again for the honor and the privilege of serving you here in the United States Senate. Last week, during our weekly address to each of you, we started reading some letters on the air because it's important that people realize that we do read your mail. And every week we're going to pick a couple of letters and answer them on the air. And hopefully these are letters that are indicative of the kind of mail we're getting, the kind of questions that we're getting from people. We had a great response last week, so we're doing it again this week, and we'll plan to continue doing it for the foreseeable future. So keep sending those letters and those emails, and maybe your letter will be read on the air and answered. So let's go to the first email today. It's an email from Charles, who's in Tampa. Charles writes the following. He says, "For the sake of the economy, please be part of the solution. Just being opposed to any tax increase is not a solution. I will be one of those whose taxes would increase under the Obama plan, but he is right. Before we cut and really hurt senior citizens through cuts to Medicare and Medicaid and children through painful education cuts, we should raise taxes on those of us, like yourself and me," he writes, "who make over $250,000 a year. We should go back to Reagan's level of taxes. We should fund any war before getting in and before cutting unemployment benefits. But for the party that believes in business, the worst thing your party can do to the economy is come near a default on our debt. So please raise the debt ceiling. Signed sincerely, Charles from Tampa." Charles, I've thought about this issue a lot because to me, dealing with our nation's debt and securing America's future is more important than my political party. I'm proud to be a Republican, but I'm even prouder to be an American. So I've thought about exactly what you write. Now, what the president is saying the last few days is pretty straightforward. What he's claiming is that there are a bunch of people in America that make a lot of money and aren't paying their fair share in taxes. And if only they would pay more in taxes, this debt issue would be easier to tangle with. So I've examined that issue because I want to make sure that what I'm saying is reasonable. And here's what I found. I found, for example, that this week we're going to have a vote here in the Senate on raising taxes. It doesn't say how much, but raising taxes on people that make over $1 million a year. That's the vote that's going to happen here in the Senate. Well, there's only about 300,000 people in the whole country who fall in that category. And if we taxed all the money that they make, all of it, at 100%, let's say next year we announce we're taking all the money you people who make over $1 million make, it would equal less than $1 trillion. That's less than our debt or our deficit is in just 1 year. Of course, you can't tax them at 100% because the minute you do that, people stop working, and no one's proposing that we do. The bottom line is that none of these tax increases that the president's talking about, none of them, come close to scratching the surface of solving this debt problem. There's only two ways forward, and we've got to do them both in order to solve the debt. Number one is we have to control spending. Spending is growing at a pace that's simply unsustainable. We have to control it, and we have to do it the right way. In your letter, you mentioned Medicare and Medicaid and cuts to education and things of that nature. Let me be very clear on things like Medicare. I've said over and over again, there should be no reductions, no benefit reductions to people who are in the program now, people like my 80-year-old mother. I've said that over and over again. What I've said is not for them. I'm saying for future beneficiaries, people like me who are years away from retirement. If we even want Medicare to exist, we have to accept some reforms. Other things we need to do on the spending side is put the government on a balanced budget. Why our government should not be allowed to spend more money than it takes in. 30 some odd states around the country have that requirement. Why can't the federal government live that way? We should have a spending cap as well to make sure that every year the increase in government spending isn't growing faster than the growth in our economy. So the first thing we need is to have some spending discipline. But the second thing we need, Charles, the second thing we really need is to grow our economy. In essence, the way you generate more revenue for government is not by creating new taxes. It's by creating new taxpayers, and that means jobs. And there isn't a single tax that the president proposes that will help create jobs. On the contrary, those taxes will help kill jobs. So these tax increases the president proposes, they don't solve the debt problem and they kill jobs. How could that possibly be the solution? The answer is it's not. So this objection to raising taxes is not some ideological objection. It's a common sense one. We need to grow our economy and control our spending. We need to do both of those things. And tax increases will not grow our economy. It will shrink our economy. And ultimately, it will make our debt problem worse. And that's why I'm opposed to tax increases as part of the solution to the debt limit. But thank you for your question, Charles. I hope I shed some light on my position with regards to these issues.